No, yeah, you just press this. Yeah, yeah, just start.
Good morning. We'll discuss today Struts. Struts is an open source framework. So before we'll in detail we'll discuss about Struts. We first discuss Struts follows MVC2 architecture. So we'll discuss about MVC2 architecture and MVC architecture also. So when I say MVC architecture, it is uh, model view controller architecture. So when I say view and controller, model layers, it when user sends a request, it will go to the view part first, and it will go to next to controller layer, and from then it will go to the model layer, and from there model layer it will interact with the database, and it may be a request you're sending or storing data into the database, or even you're retrieving data from the database. So when I say view, we can use HTML page, we can also use JSP page with CSS. And when I say controller, we can say servlets. Model is like we can say a bean, where we enter business logic, and also it will interact with the database. This is what a model view controller, where servlet is playing a role of controller, which will take the request from the view part and it will send to the next layer, and again response it will take back from the model layer to pass it to the view layer. This is MVC architecture. So I will now discuss MVC2 architecture. Okay, what is MVC2 architecture? So in, as we discussed, model, view and controller layer, view, controller and model layer. Apart from that, we have just a centralized, you can say centralized controller. What do you mean by centralized controller? Centralized controller will, when user as a gives a request, user sends request from the user end, browser end, and that will come to this end controller layer, and from there it will process it, and from again it will send the response back to the user. So your user, until you get your response for the request which is sent by the user, the controller plays all the roles till you receive your information. So this is called centralized controller. In action server, in struts, in struts action servlet, we can say as the centralized controller. Centralized controller. So when I say centralized controller is, acting as controller, and it will be processing your request and response. We'll discuss what are the struts components we have in struts. We'll discuss struts components. What are the things which we have in the struts? So we have a web.xml file. We have struts-config.xml file, struts-config.xml file. We have a JSP page, we can say as a view.jsp page. We have action servlet. We have request processor. Action form. And we have action class. These are the components of struts, and we'll see the flow, how they are interrelated with each other, so that the framework works as a template for you to get the response back when you send a request in. Okay,